when you first started doing this, how did you gain access? How did you get in there, and how much resistance did you experience in trying to report on this? It seems like it would be a very dangerous thing for you to do because the consequences of this information getting out there.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. These are heavily guarded secrets because there's so much money at stake. And one does not just waltz into the Congo's mining provinces and start poking around and asking questions. That's a one-way ticket to a very bleak outcome. I think, it took me 18 years of other research into slavery and child labor to be ready for this. If I had come across this in year 1 or 5 or whatever, I'd have botched it up or not even known how to go about it. But the most important thing is ground relationships. And so I took some time building ground relationships with people who could guide me safely, get me into mining areas safely, who I could put my life in their hands and know that they were going to use good judgment. So it's about trust and relationships on the ground, first and foremost. And then, through those relationships, I was able to get into deep into the mining areas, mines that are controlled by militias, mines that are controlled by the Republican Guard. I mean, you have every face and facet of gigantic industrial mines. They're as big as a European city, and then just swaths of open terrain that are being dug up by local villagers. You have everything down there. But the ones that are most heavily guarded, the big mines, some of them I never got into. Try as I might, I could never. There's always they call FARDC, the army down there, and they're just guys with Kalashnikovs. There'll be 50 of them at the entranceway, and I never got in, but I would talk to the people who worked there, back in their villages, and some of the industrial mines I did get into, and of course the open terrain artisanal sites I could get to. But it's all about. I had to be very careful. Fortunately, there are a good number of Indians in the Congo, so I could blend in and didn't really stick out. So that helped in my movements in the mining provinces. I traveled very lean. Oftentimes we'd have to move in a hurry from one place to another, one village to another. Everything I was willing to leave behind. I had my passport Velcroed to my calf muscle, if we had to go in a hurry, and once or twice we did, that I needed that. Everything else is expendable, but you don't want to get stuck in the Congo without your documents. The number of checkpoints. I said there's just one road, and that thing is so heavily guarded, and the number of checkpoints. Just you pull up. Let me see your documents. Let me see this. Let me see that. Go through your bags. Go through your stuff, and then move along. Eventually, you might have to offer someone. They call it a cold drink. If you give me a cold drink, I can go through. First time someone said that to me, I said, "No, where the hell do we get a cold drink out here? We're in the middle of nowhere." No. Cold drink means peage, toll.
That's interesting euphemism.
Yeah. So. I had to rely on local contacts to get around and use my own experience and judgment about how far to push and when not to push.
What did you use as an excuse to be there?
So I had a range of cover stories when I'd go into mining areas. As I mentioned, there's some Indians down there. Some of them are mineral traders. Some of them are laborers. Many of them run hotels and guest houses. So I could be Indian guy looking to get into mineral trading, looking to invest in transportation. There's so much need meaning industrial need to get trucks and transport all this stuff that's coming out of the ground, out of the country and up the supply chain. With colleagues or government officials that I met, I was myself, which is a researcher from America. I was upfront about it, and I needed to be. There are times when I needed stamps and signatures of government officials to keep myself safe. And by that I mean, in the scenario, in the worst possible scenarios, where I'm in a remote mine and there's some guys with Kalashnikovs and machetes coming after me. One of the first things my guide said is, we need to get the stamp and signature of someone from the governor's office on your documentation, so we can show that. Because that means you've got permission, you're under the watchful eye of the governor, and so they can't kill you, they're just going to send you away. And that advice saved my life on more than one occasion. Having that stamp and signature. And so with government people, I was who I was. With NGOs, I was who I was. When I got into mining areas, to get access or to get into cobalt marketplaces, I would maybe be a mineral trader or some investor or someone looking to help transport minerals. And but yeah, those are my stories.
So as you entered into this world, were you aware that you needed all these signatures? How did you go about getting them?
I had no idea.